Welcome to the
Hell
pod.
yeah.
Welcome to the pod.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. Phone booth in a co-working location, you said?
Yeah. One funny thing, I was like, how do I want to open with Chris today? How do I just want to like inject this conversation with a ton of energy? And so I go to, I get off another. I'm recording a couple pods today for Build the Future, so I had a little bit of a gap. I went to Starbucks, refilled on coffee. And I get back in the elevator, and I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And then so I'm like, what the fuck? And I just realized like the entire elevator thing smelled like reeked of cologne. And I'm like, oh, this would be a funny thing to talk about. Like, hey, Chris, how weird is it that every once in a while someone will wear so much cologne that like it leaves an after scent in the fucking elevator? Ha ha ha.
Dude, that's great. That's brilliant. That's brilliant material right there, dude. We could I'm not a cologne guy. I'm honestly scared of I don't like smelling
chemicals.
I don't like
big manufacturing companies that clearly have no sensibility for ensuring that the chemicals that we put near our faces and breathe.
I don't know, dude. I look down on like my I don't know if look down on it, but like if I smell someone, I'm like weird. Except for if I smell a girl. Like if you smell someone who I don't know is wearing cologne, it doesn't smell good to me. Like perfume generally smells good to me in like light amounts, but like I would never, I don't know, I would not I'd be more self-conscious about cologne personally.
Interesting. That's fair. Yeah, I was really into it for a while. I think it was because growing up you're like, oh damn, I kind of smell because puberty and all of that. And then like, oh, I can just wear cologne. I remember I had my first cologne was SoCal from Hollister. I felt so cool. So I'm like, oh, I smell like the store and I smell like California.
Oh, yeah.
And now I realize, oh, I smell like capitalism and overseas.
But you're from Washington, right?
Yeah. So to be fair, I was like, I kind of I don't know if idolize is the right word, but I had this obsession with California.
Sure.
I really want to give you a bunch of like funny material here, but I also like don't want to. It's like, oh, we get into my AIM screen name, which in middle school was like tied to California. We're just gonna gloss over that. What's up, man?
Dude, it's good to see you. It's good to see you, dude. Yeah, dude. The pod is. I wanted to have you on the pod because one, it's great to see you, and
you as well. Hell yeah.
Talk to you, and you are. I feel like we're kindred spirits. You even more so in terms of just like big ideas, big energy, like always thinking about like fun stuff, and like I love riffing with you about stuff like that. Like you always fire me up when I talk to you.
Likewise, it's a reciprocal feeling, man. Like I love our conversations. Always a lot of good kind of banter back and forth, and somehow, I get hyped whenever we hop on a call. So
dude,
I'm like, sweet. I need this in my day.
What's your go-to like Cameron's hyped move? Because I physically, I like go, woo, baby, and like I involuntarily, I'm like, woo, baby, like I'll be about to go home from the bars because I'm not a bar person. I'm a home and bed person, and I'm like,
oh baby, it's 9:30. All right, see you guys next Thursday.
Literally my favorite part of the night.
It's the best. It's like, oh, I get to go drink some tea. To go set my alarm, like bed.
Yeah. Do you have a physical movement or no?
If I think about it, one thing I've been doing recently is like this kind of like weird, like, sidestep, like dance. I'll just be like, yes. And you can't see it because I'm standing up, but like, I'll just like be like, yo, let's go. And then I'll just, I'll swing my arms. Like I'm like, in an EDM concert or something. Typically what I'll do is you know, if I'm like really trying to get in the mood, I'll put on. I have a playlist on Spotify called Hype Tracks, and this is quite literally what it sounds like. Where it is my actually no, it's mood parentheses hype, and it is 70 songs that are all meant to just like kind of get me feeling like a certain type of way. So we've got.
Do you use it just for workout or for?
No. This
like
is
anytime you're trying to feel hype.
Anytime I'm trying to feel hype.
What was the last time you tried to feel hype?
I put a song on 2 hours ago before I recorded a podcast.
Oh, nice.
And then that's kind of the wave has carried me into this conversation. But the pairing is usually I'll put on just to give you a sense for some of the songs. So I've got All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled, 6 Foot 7 Foot by Lil Wayne, Remember the Name by Fort Minor, Ultimate by Denzel Curry, which is pretty wicked. Fucking Problems. Can I cuss on here?
Of course.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
I always click the button not safe for kids.
Perfect.
When publishing.
Do not. Cool. So we can also talk about, you know, nuclear energy and desktop. You know, never mind. I was gonna go somewhere with that. My brain just like not having it. But dirt off your shoulder, patiently wait, and so you know, to kind of like the standards. But when I'm really like needing to just kind of like shift my psychology, I'll play, and I will send this to you so you can listen to it.
Yeah, please do.
Biggie Tupac live freestyle. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but it is Biggie Smalls and Tupac rapping. I think at the only concert they ever like were at together, and they go back and forth. And I just feel super thug when I listen to it. And so I'll be on the ground, like doing push-ups and shit. And like, let's go. I'm trying to hype myself up. Yeah.
Dude, I love it. I'm going to check that out. Absolutely. I mean, I think
it's good.
It's cliche, but like, moving the energy is very important for me. You know, the music.
I have to move my body.
Yeah, getting it going. It comes with the territory. All right, I had some questions I wanted to ask you.
Oh, you have questions? Oh boy. All right. I appreciate the prep.
More like it's just more like things. So I've been really into improv recently, and so these are more like improv.
Oh boy.
Games, which I think you're going to be really good at. Have you ever done improv, by the way?
Okay, so I took an improv class in San Francisco. It was kind of like meh.
Kind of meh.
I do have this bit that I love to do. Whenever I'm like meeting new people and I'm in kind of a non-serious mood, and I'm just like, let me see how much I can stack onto this like completely fake narrative that I have created for myself.
Yeah.
Because what I found, Chris, I'm just going to jump into this, and then we'll kind of.
Please, I love it.
What I found is like sometimes you go to events and people are like, less so recently because you know no one's going to events, which is a sad thing that will be fixed hopefully soon. But people ask like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? Because they're trying to measure like where you fall in their like the status hierarchy that they're viewing the world from. And so sometimes people ask me, what do you do? And if I'm not feeling it, like I work for the duck boat company. And they're like, the what? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the duck boat, right?
Oh, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, you have it in San Francisco, you have it in Seattle. I actually spent the summer, my senior year college, working on the duck boat in Seattle. And it was honestly like the best damn time of my life. Everyone's like off.
So we switched to real. We switched to this is a real thing. You did do that. Okay, no. You didn't. Okay.
No, literally none of this is real.
Right. Sorry. Didn't mean to break character there. Keep going. I love it.
No, but see, like this is what happens. Is like people think I'm joking, and then I start telling stories, and I try and see like
you're good at this. What
can I make up about this duck boat scenario that will, you know, that I just think is hilarious, and I'll see how far I can take it. And so, you know, I'll start telling people stories about how, you know, one summer we had this not like this small like 5-year-old child who just like reminded me so much of myself because he had this like devilish attitude and like he kept staring at me, the death glare that kids give you, like they're gonna like, I know you're the adult here, I'm gonna fuck with you look, where they're like gonna be mischievous. Like I saw this kid coming a mile away. We were like checking everyone and doing the paperwork. I'm like, oh, this kid's gonna be trouble. This is gonna be a fun day. and so we're out on the boat and we give everyone like these bags of Wonder Bread because I think someone at corporate decided to like that'd be a good sponsor. Let's feed ducks a bunch of over processed like garbage, and we're kind of giving everyone this bread and we're throwing, and like everyone's throwing it outside of the boat, and the ducks are coming up to the duck boats. It's this like fun cutesy little bit, and people are taking photos like, oh, I'm feeding ducks on the duck boat, ha 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 ha. It's like for the Instagram thoughts or whatever. Everyone just thinks it's hilarious. Anyway, so this kid,
there's nothing sexier than an Instagram.
I know
taking a little selfie with the duck, and
the
then
duck
doing
face
the duck
and
face.
the duck.
Doesn't get better.
It was
sponsorship money.
Around this time, it was a very popular thing. It's become less so, but it was this kid decides that it'd be really funny to like lean over the side of the boat and like try and like feed. So instead of throwing the bread over the side, he's like leaning over as if like he can touch the water. And I'm like, hey, listen, buddy, stop. You're gonna fall in. And he gives me this look, and I will never forget it, Chris. He like, it's almost like I don't think he knew how to wink, but he kind of winks at me and he gives me this like devilish glare. And then either he accidentally loses his grip because he's like reaches back out over the boat with the bread. I'm like, God damn it. And he falls in. This fucking 5-year-old blonde, like obnoxious devilish kid falls in the water and he starts yelling and screaming. And I'm like, he totally did this on purpose. Now I have to fucking deal with this. And his parents are freaking out. We have to get like, the pool, like thing, one of those pool things that you get to rescue people. So like fish him out of the water. And he's all like sad and crying. And like, we finally get him dried off. And he's sitting on the front of the boat. I come like, are you okay? He's like, and he just starts laughing. I'm like, oh, you bastard. So he engineered this whole thing to go, all right, I'm losing steam here. So, but usually because I'll feed off the energy in the rooms and then I'll start talking. Yeah. And then people ask questions about the kid. But anyway, so
dude, I am enthralled that is so fucking funny. The specifics that you had, dude.
Oh yeah, you just have to like
amazing.
That's the trick, right? To improv, you just like you add
specifics.
In detail, and then everyone's oh, the Wonder Bread, oh, the like hair.
Ooh, mwah, mwah. That is nice, dude. That is real nice.
Don't add.
Is there an ending where you like kill him?
Oh my God.
And I just like, this kid was just being so obnoxious, and everyone was giving all this attention, and
like,
it's like I'm the one that saved him. They should give me the attention. The dad's not even like tip me $2, like as if that's anything.
That's what I may do next time I tell it is I may like, I'll do the whole build up, and then like instead of him falling into the water, be like I pushed him into the water, or something of that sort, or like that I just killed him and his entire family. Straight face. People are like, what?
Oh man, dude. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Or maybe you turn out to be that little kid.
I think I've used that once before. It's like, see, the only reason I'm able to tell you this story is my little kid was me. I was that absolute like.
I just love ducks, and I
love ducks so much. I wanted to take one home as a pet. My parents would never like. I caught one once from the lake. I brought it home. My parents were like, Cameron, you can't have a duck. And like my dad made me like, he like put me in the duck in the car and we drove back to the lake and I got to like set the duck free because I like, the lake wasn't that far from our house. I could walk there. But I always had this resentment towards my parents for not letting me have a duck as a pet. And so when I was on that duck boat and I saw the opportunity to pick one up, I thought, hey, maybe now here's my chance. But like a sly little asshole, I fell in the water and then the duck swam away and that's pretty sad.
Yeah, they were a lot faster than they looked. They looked like they're just waddling around. But
Nah,
those fuckers
they're
can
paddling
move,
like
baby.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh man, dude, that's funny. I would love to do that. That seems like a hilarious thing to do. Just make up some whole personality at a conference like that.
Well, it's fun too. Like if you like if you're with a friend or like on a date,
Sure.
and like it's like a test. Like, okay, can this person hang? And you just start like making up the story, and you see if you like you and whoever you're with can like feed off each other's energy to like make the story even more complex.
Yeah,
You like pretend like that you got engaged or something. Like, oh yeah, like you're lying at the Starbucks and like you're all happy and high energy, and someone's like, oh, you two are smiley. Oh yeah, we totally just got engaged. And they just like make up a whole like universe to this random stranger in the coffee shop.
This is our first date. Oh
It's
no,
like, yeah.
I just bought a lake house actually.
With plenty of ducks.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, I love it. That sounds fun, dude. No, I'm glad that I said something, because I feel like you're meant for improv, and obviously you are. No doubt.
I went and saw Joe Rogan. So I'm out in New York, and he was playing Madison Square Garden the other week.
Oh, nice.
Incredible. It was so funny.
Really?
It's just like the way that he kind of captures everyone's attention, like in the arena. Like he's just like a master of his art, man. Like everyone wants to hate on Joe Rogan because he says some shit, but he's just a dude. He's just a dude's dude. And he like is mad funny. And I don't think people give him enough. Well, a lot of people don't give him the credit that I think he deserves, because he's very talented.
Yeah. No, he's definitely talented. His one, I think he only has 1 or 2 specials on Netflix, maybe 2.
I think so.
I've definitely watched one, and I thought it was really funny. I really liked it. Yeah, I thought it was super funny. Nicole is not a fan of Joe Rogan.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest at all.
But
she probably loves Dave Chappelle too, huh?
Yeah, we just had a conversation about that actually last night. Not in the wheelhouse. Yeah, which does not surprise me. And I don't know, it can definitely be disappointing when like dudes are just like, I don't know, they're being funny in a way that they don't have to be funny in that way. They can be funny in many other ways. I mean, they're obviously very talented.
Yeah,
like they can. They don't have to make certain kinds of jokes. But yeah. Okay, question. I literally barely had any questions, but
okay, let's hit them. What do we got? Do you show people the video of this too, or is it just the audio?
Oh yeah, I've been tossing this on YouTube.
Amazing. Okay,
which has been hella fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for the people who are just listening, you hold up a giant yellow legal pad full of notes. I have a couple questions. Oh man, let's hit it. What do we got?
All right. First, we'll more improv exercise. This is called like 5 things. Okay. So very quickly, there's no right answer. You can't be right. But 5
can't
things.
Be wrong. Okay.
5 ways that you would chastise your pet gerbil. Go.
I would take away his cardboard tube.
Okay, 1.
I would. I'd put him on the top, or I'd remove the steps so that he couldn't climb up to the top of his cage. I would go get a small cardboard box with one corner sectioned off with like plastic wrap or some sort of like, impenetrable barrier, but put some food in there. And so I put him in the box, and he's looking at the
3. All right.
The food, and then he's like, God damn it, you asshole, I'm hungry. I'd get a little like small little demister bottle or mist bottle, and I'd spray him with some mist. Not like a straight stream of water, but just like enough where it'd be like, ah, damn it. And then I might put a little bit of cocaine in his water.
Oh my God. All right, 5 things. Boom. Good stuff. That is
acid in the water would have been better on that one.
Oh my God, dude, you took chastise and basically made it torture. I was thinking like you
I have an issue with boundaries sometimes, Chris. So chastise.
We're no verbal chastisement. The only way to communicate with the gerbil is straight to the torture, and the cocaine in the water. I love it.
Oof.
Well, I had a bunch of like 5 things, but basically like I'm interested in like when you're thinking of ideas to do things different, like totally different than maybe they have been done in the past, because it's hard to do. Like it's hard to think of different interesting stuff. And the way I've really figured out or tried to be doing it is like really dig deep into like improv and just like letting the brain like really run. So like literally like things, I don't know, 5 horrible personality traits of like your mother and just like go, like or like of a mother, I don't know, just like let your brain say things that completely surprise you, and like go for it. Like when you're thinking about different I don't know, like different projects that you are doing right now and like things that you've done in the past, like I don't know, what's your general technique of like how you think of different stuff? Is it kind of just like you're just always thinking about different stuff, or like?
That's a good question, man. I really don't. I haven't thought about that before specifically as to like what my
like
creative process is. I mean, like,
what about like with the TEDx thing?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Like people don't know, Cam put on a whole TEDx event. First ever, Cal Poly? First for
yeah.
I mean, huge event.
That was so much fun.
Sold out pack, legendary. Like what were things, I assume there are a bunch of things that you guys probably did differently, and some things that you did the same, and like what, I don't know, how do you think about doing things? I don't know, yeah, how do you think about putting on the event?
Yeah, well, I think taking me back, the thing is we're trying to create like an experience for people, right? It's like how do we turn this into something memorable, something exciting? How do we have like different like beats to it? So what are the things we can inject in the experience that are gonna like not be what people expect? So we had this like electric violinist that we kind of had out front, was playing an instrument that most people had never heard. He was like rocking it to some modern. He was just jamming, yeah, and everyone's like, "Whoa, that's super cool." And then, we tried to, make the experience a bit of a game. We gave everyone these passports, where they could go like collect stamps at different like showcases, and then kind of within the event itself, we tried to architect like this is like a common thing in TEDx events and conferences in general with people who know who have some experience. Like you try and design a story arc where you kind of move people through a different emotional wave throughout the day. And like, it's been a while, I couldn't tell you specifically like what we engineered there, but the idea is how do we kind of hit people with like laughter and excitement and high energy, then how do we drop them back down and kind of get them thinking about things in a different way, and then kind of hype them back up, because we don't want to leave people in this like, existential like angsty state for too long. So we want to kind of do a recovery, and we want to end on a high note so they leave feeling really good. And so I think maybe the principle there, the kind of strategy is just like actually taking the time to map out like what is the experience we want people to have, not like, and kind of map it out by like time, and then just be creative about that versus like, oh, people are just going to show up and we're going to have talks and then they're going to go home. Like, no, like the entire container from the minute they step out of their car to the minute they step in their car going home is part of like what has to be created. And so thinking about the holistic experience is super important, or at least was for us in that project. And is kind of what I try and think about in anything I'm doing now, whether it's, a product or a service or, another event. It's like, what does the whole picture of this thing look like? How do we interact with people? How do we communicate? How do we imbue things with like energy and optimism and excitement, and just be like intentional about doing so versus kind of expecting that people get that by just showing up.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I was thinking like what you're optimizing for is really interesting. Like that's, I think, probably the start of different creative stuff is like, all right, like we're optimizing, you said, for basically excitement and unexpected stuff. And so then it almost becomes easy to be like, all right, like what are some unexpected things we could do at the beginning to like think about? And you like can list out things and you're like, and then one of those things happens to be like electric violinist, like playing,
Right.
you know, and it seems to just come out of thin air, but like it definitely comes from that, like, all right, like we want this experience, you know, unexpectedness, you know, so anything that's expected, boom, cross out, you know, like fucking typical jazz band, you know, X, you know, like rock guitar, like X, you know, like, yeah, that's super interesting. Cause like, do you think, I don't know, is that how you then come up with ideas? Is like list out stuff, you think? Because that's at least how I've tried to been doing it, is like listing out stuff, like just barf on the page as much as I can, like keep like at least like 10 things or, you know, 15 things, like 30 things, you know, like fill up a whole page of like ideas and like at least one will stick.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important, like seed, like this thinking first with ideas from other people. Right. And just kind of like push the bounds of kind of what you think is possible, what you think is like unexpected. Just to add some color to like, you know, how we were thinking about the TEDx at least. Wow, this is so weird talking about this so long ago. I met someone who is kind of, I was talking like, hey, how do you make your events special and what do you guys do? And one of my friends and supporters, guy Steve, was improving stories, or so I later learned, that he was just like making stuff up about crazy experiences, telling me how one person's event, they did it at this venue where the roof opened up, kind of like a football stadium.
Wait, pause. So you called up this guy Steve to ask for advice, and he's apparently just making up things as advice.
Well, no, so we were at a conference, like we met at a place. We were talking about, you know, events, and like this is like day 2 or day 3. So we'd been like hanging out and we'd been talking. Okay. And then, you know, he's kind of a jokester. And like we ran a whole improv set where we pretended to be these oil traders from Venezuela to sneak into, you know, this like private dinner that was being hosted at one of the hotels we were at. So anyway, I clearly have a trend of doing these things. But like I was asking him seriously, okay, like what stuff has been done, and then he's like, oh, well, these guys did this crazy thing where they, you know, the roof opened up and what they did, they had someone skydive into the venue. I'm like, oh, that's pretty dope, that's crazy, wow. And so like that became the story that I would tell people, is like, this is like the peak, right? This is the experience standard. Like they had someone skydive into the venue. Yeah. And I realized like quite some time after, that's like highly improbable that was a thing that actually happened. But I had so much conviction that like it was a viable like thing, that everyone I told it to was like, oh yeah, what can we do that would be like on that par? Yeah, right? Yeah. So everyone kind of like their expectations were set like really high. I think even though I looked at the, you know, venues in that city and didn't see any that had an opening roof, so I'm pretty sure he was bullshitting me. And like I haven't actually confirmed with him, and I'm sure if I did bring it up, he'd be like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, no, I was just like challenging your imagination. But it kind of alludes to this like really powerful idea that sometimes you need to give people permission to come up with crazy ideas and operate outside of constraints. And so by anchoring on, oh, the baseline that we want to aim for is like someone skydiving into the venue mid-show. Yeah. It's like, well, if that's possible, then what could we do that would be like similar to that, or like at least close? And doing nothing is just like not even on the table. So you're like, well, we have to do something cool. Like this is what's possible. And so I think there's this notion of like, how do you, one of the threads I've like found interesting in my life is like, how do you challenge the impossible? How do you kind of take these conceived notions of like what people think can be done, go do them, and be like, okay, this wasn't that hard, right? The only constraint on anything you want to go do in this world is really the limits of your own imagination.
Yeah. I love that. I'm writing down notes. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know where to.
I don't know where you take that. I should try and give you more like segue content, but
no. That's my mind first went to like the Airbnb guys doing like the 1-star to like 13-star or whatever experience, like 10-star experience. Like well, sure, like you stop at 5-star, but like what would be a 10-star experience? Yeah. And like doing that whole exercise, like absolutely, that's an anchoring thing. That's an absolute anchoring thing.
That's a great example of the Airbnb. Like, okay, cool, you have your 5-star. Mm-hmm. What's 6? What's 7? What's 8? And then suddenly like the 5-star seems like trivial. Like, oh, obviously we should hit this. And you get people to aim higher. I think that's probably the other, I mean, that's if you want to kind of bundle all of like this gibberish into like one statement, it's simply like aim higher. Whatever you're trying to do, aim higher. Play bigger, think like try and do more. Right.
At least think about it. Yeah, because it's like, because at the very least, like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then like, what's the one extra thing I could do? And then just kind of keep moving that until you can really, you just have to kind of put it out. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to think about editing too. It's kind of how Jerry Seinfeld looked at his editing process. He just like called it like trudging through mud and just like constantly editing until like it was just perfect in his mind. Like he just like could not wait to say whatever joke he had because it was just so crisp and perfect. All right, so you're doing a bunch of podcasts right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, well, okay, regardless, it's regardless of if you're like creating them or just hosting them, but one way I was thinking about anchoring, if you're thinking about anchoring like a podcast, for example,
okay, and
thinking about it like both creatively and just like how to make it interesting, but like is to think about I don't know, right now I'm obsessed with Jack Harlow with like the entire nation, and I think he's like so cool. What would it take for him to listen to one of your podcasts?
I literally don't know who Jack Harlow is. Hold on.
Oh, Cam. he's a music rap artist. Oh baby.
He looks, I don't know like
I think you'd like him. Oh, dude, you got some good. I mean, did you like What's Poppin'? Did you ever hear that song?
Yeah, I've heard the song. That's him. Okay. Yeah,
that's him.
He reminds me of Post Malone. Look at him, shaggy hair. He needs some face tats, and then everyone would be like,
yeah, then he's there.
Hey, Post Malone, what's up,
dude? I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be the next. I mean, he's already massive, but I think he's. Watch some interviews with him, dude. He's got the most insane charisma I've ever seen in my entire life. Like he's 22. The man's he's a fucking baller, dude. He's also hilarious. He and I share a deep sexual attraction for the fish and shark tail. We both find her incredibly sexy. Shout out Lola. Cam is like, all right.
Yeah, no, I had to look up the fish in Shark Tale. I feel you. Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, Angelina Jolie. She's.
I don't think Angelina. I think I could see it on the fish, but not my vibe. But
okay, like in terms of anchoring, it'd be how else would you anchor it? Like, all right, yeah, let's imagine that like this is Jack Harlow's favorite podcast, or this is whoever, like who's someone you like. a lot right now?
Let's see. I'm a big fan of this guy Blake Scholl, who runs a company called Boom Supersonic, where they're doing supersonic jets. Yeah.
Didn't they just get acquired by United?
They did not get acquired, but they had this partnership deal where United is going to buy like $1 billion of their planes, or like $1 billion worth of their planes.
$1 billion would be a lot of planes.
$1 billion.
Yeah, we got more planes. We got more supersonic planes than there are cars out there, baby. Like,
yo, who needs a plane? Yeah. You get a plane. You get a plane. Everybody gets a plane.
Dude, I could see. Oh man, rich countries, just the wealth inequality becomes so high that everyone's got a personal supersonic jet.
Well, see, I want to
for healthcare.
I choose to view the world through the lens of abundance, and like, if we're at a point where people can afford to fly on supersonic jets, like the progress that will be made through that will also kind of work its way into our food systems and our healthcare systems. Like we have this like zero sum mentality that like of the existing, because the existing system, let's be clear, is like completely fucked. The institutions that are running the show are completely incompetent, right? They're almost like paper mache, structures where you poke your finger in them and you're like, there's nothing in here. They're hollowed out, but they have this illusion of being functional. And what I'm excited about is this changing of the guard, the changing of the tide, the turning of the tide, where we now have people who have like stayed out of DC politics, who have stayed out of big corporations, who have stayed out of these like think tanks or policy institutions that have been focused on preserving the status quo, that again were like perceived to be functional. COVID was like, haha, these people don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They're kind of like masquerading, trying to preserve like the information that they think only they have. In reality, like you can go online and see all the same stuff, to now being switched over to the hands of like founders, entrepreneurs, and like forward thinking, like caring people who are now stepping up to the plate to take responsibility for solving all these problems. So like, I just had a conversation with this guy who's running a vertical farming company, and they're doing kind of completely integrated organic produce and fish production inside buildings, right?
Yeah.
Which will enable fresh food at like affordable prices to be located outside of metropolitan areas. So then it's like, you don't have to ship stuff across the country to get fresh food. It's like grown right there, and they can moderate the climate, and they can grow all sorts of produce that, you wouldn't be able to grow, say in New York or in, California.
Sure. Anywhere. Yeah.
Anywhere, like in Nairobi, in like Chiang Mai, in Shenzhen, like anywhere in the world, you can pop up these facilities, like set all the variables right and grow whatever you want, and then pipe it into the local supermarkets for people to go purchase, right? And is like, we've reached a point where, the main constraint right now is energy, right? We're having this debate over like, how do we reduce all of our reliance on fossil fuels, as if like that is going to solve the entirety of the problem, right? Like we need sustainable. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep going.
I love it. Keep going, baby.
Like we can, like, we have this like weird anti-human perspective where like, we have to conserve. We have to stop. We turn all of our lights off to make appliances increasingly more efficient. We have to like stop producing things. Instead, like, what happens if we just choose to solve all these problems? So instead of like, stopping, turning the lights on, like, why don't we figure out how to make energy so abundant and so cheap that you don't have to worry about leaving your lights on or powering your car, or like, leaving your computer on, right? And these options are available. We just have to invest in the technology and the infrastructure to like get there, right? You have geothermal, you have natural gas, you have nuclear, you have solar, you have wind, you have hydro. Like the more that we can like lean into these things, and the more that we can increase the like total energy available for everybody, the cheaper all these things are going to get. So yes, right now there's just like, oh, certain things are for like the rich and the elites, which one, just as a caveat, like that is how innovation starts. Like we now all have cars. Most people when cars first came out did not have cars. Planes, air travel, same thing. Like, wealthy use case to then like, that drives the cost curves down, and then more people can afford it. Same thing with like all this medical technology, all the like food technology. Like these things take time, and we're just like living in the moment. It feels like, oh, this is inaccessible, but eventually these things kind of become available to most consumers. Like, for example, another example, like if you get cancer now, you're not like, in most cases, you're not like, it's not an immediate death sentence. Like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, even 15 years ago, your odds weren't so good, right? And so it's like, we have to give these things time and be okay with the fact that they're not going to be available to everybody right off the bat, because in the long arc of things, they'll lead to prosperity, or like technology, science, ultimately progress will lead to like increasing amounts of prosperity for everybody all over the globe, right? Not just in the US, not just in like the aristocratic elite class, but like these technologies, the vertical farming, the cultivated meat, the like small scale modular nuclear energy, the drones and the 3D printing and the space exploration will like eventually trickle its way down to other countries and other parts of the world where the stuff is accessible. Like some things will take longer than others, but like one thing I've been preaching about recently is like, we have to be like pro humanity, like humans are good and we should like increase our ability to thrive. And how do we do that? Well, we need to innovate. We need to like make progress, and we need to like make the world around us better, not by limiting what we already have, but like working to solve the problems that exist. And of course, this will create new problems, but those are just more things to go solve. All right, I'm done.
I mean, I generally agree with a lot. And like, I don't have any deep critique of it. Like, it seems like, did you read the Peter Diamandis?
Yeah,
his
Abundance, yeah.
And Abundance book. Really good. I remember reading that in college, and that was like the first time I kind of heard about, it's just a flipped kind of thinking, and really, I very much do agree. Helpful. I'm generally skeptical of like capitalists and like motives, and it's but I don't disagree. I think a lot of the stuff really has to be solved through massive innovation, new stuff.
I think if we don't have to dive into this too much, but I think it's really, really important to note that like the issues with our with this like capitalist system are primarily, in my opinion, a like preservation of the status quo, entrenching, or like these organizations entrenching themselves in bureaucracy, right? Like, how do we have the former head of the FDA then becoming like the CEO of a big medical company? Like, these two things should not be working together, right? Like, that is the problem. It's not that like the profit motive is driving these. It's that like the profit motive is like putting people in positions where they're like, being shitty actors, and they're entrenching themselves to continue to make money instead of allowing the free market to be like, oh, we can do this better, faster, cheaper. We're going to like out innovate you. Instead of like, oh, no, we're just going to hide behind policy and, like government interests to like keep things operating the way they have been. But yeah, I agree with you. Like the instantiation of capitalism that we're dealing with is quite problematic, but it's not solved by limiting capitalism. It's solved by, out innovating and then kicking all these status quo preservers off to the side and be like, get the hell out of the way. We have a future to build and a future to save. So
yeah, I think there's anyway, yeah, it is really, as a small person, I think, well, yeah, it's really fast. I think thinking bigger is critical. Basically, the theme of this is, I feel like, just in general, thinking much larger than you really maybe at first believe is possible. Because yeah, dude. At the end of the day, it's like anyone else can, do something, and kind of, why not you?
Yes. Can I riff on this?
Yeah, please.
We need, like, we have to preserve our agency. Like everyone needs to realize, like, this is the famous Steve Jobs quote, or it's like, all the things we see, from this laptop to these headphones, this, overpriced, stale coffee to, iPhones to this phone booth I'm in, to like the WeWork that I'm up, like that I'm in, to like the house you're in, like to all these things. Like they were built by normal people who are no smarter than you or I. They just said, I see a problem. I don't like this situation. Things are broken. Okay. How can I go do something about it? Right. And they were at point A, which is like, current situation. And they looked at point B and like, that is where we can go. And they just made it their mission to go from point A to point B, whether that's like building a company or, solving a problem or getting involved in your community or fixing some sort of issue. It's like, we have to first know that like we can actually solve problems because we can, and then have the agency and commitment and wherewithal to like actually go do it. Like that is how we solve all the problems. Any issue that exists just like requires commitment and courage to like go work on it. And then if you're so inclined, whatever that point B is that you're excited about, like how do you multiply that by a factor of 10 or 100? Like how can you do the bigger thing? But first step is just like, figure out where you are, where you want to go, and then work to get there. And so it's like we have like, and that's just individual agency 101. We have to make sure people feel like they're empowered to go do
that. So have you've done, like, you don't have a typical job right now, right? Is that true?
That is correct. Yeah.
Right. Like, which is a humongous, in our society, that's a major like agency. I feel like being like, no, I'm not going to work for someone right now. I'm going to figure out a different way to like go about like fucking, surviving in the world, in this very expensive world, especially given you're on the coast, like is not easy. I don't know. What have you run into in terms of ensuring that you feel like that or try to feel like that most days, like empowered?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great question. And I think like I've found myself in a very like fortunate position where like I've developed relationships and skills that are, and arguably I would say like a frame of view, like a lens through which I view the world that just like has agency kind of baked into it. Like given kind of like, the story I tell myself is an exceptionally powerful one. And it's kind of strange, but it's everything works out for me. I'll figure out how to make it happen. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I get fired from something, or, I end up like not having any money, or something catastrophic happens. It's like, okay, how do I go solve this? Like, okay, whose couch can I go crash on? Right? How can I like cut all my spending and like take it, like go find the resources around me to, stabilize, and then take care of like my mind and body such that like I can operate effectively and like feel good about myself, and then go figure out, okay, what pieces do I need to put together? Like, where's there a job that needs to be done? Like, how can I just like add value somewhere? And so I don't know. I think I've been fortunate where I don't really have like this kind of like think bigger, think outside the box has been kind of like a guiding theme and all the stuff I do, where it's like my path, like, oh, how do I go make money? Or like, how do I go feed myself is not like traditional. It's like, oh, who has like a problem? Like, and it's like in a work context, like this is probably the most concrete example I can give. It's like, okay, I don't have any money. I'm like at zero. What do I do? Okay, well, who do I know that may have some money that has a problem that needs to be solved? Okay, how do I go figure out what skills I have that can like add, like I can kind of be an additive like piece to the organization? And like, from startup world, like I realize that all these founders of companies, like their biggest resource constraint is talent. They don't have enough people to go do the things they want to do, but they have capital that like they have to funnel into things such that they can go raise the next round so they can grow. And so I found like, cool, if I need to go do something, I can go find someone who like is growing a company and like insert myself and be like, hey, what needs to get done? And then go do it. And like the skill of agency there, or the kind of the element of agency is like, I may not know how to do the thing, but I'll just go figure it out. And like, that's like a unique thing. I think like that's a personality trait that I've like invested in and curated. I don't think it's like a given, but
I mean, yeah, it fires me up, and it has to. How often do you? I mean, is it a mantra thing? I could see it being like a mantra thing. Also, just kind of you've conditioned yourself to have that response to fucking everything. Comes out. Everything works out for me. And
ooh, actually, yeah. Let me correct. I think it's not that everything works out for me. It's like everything serves me. Is the story I tell myself more than like, oh, it works out for me, because that implies like, I don't know, that has interesting implications, but more like this serves me. So okay, cool. Like, ended a relationship. Oof, fuck, this hurt. Okay, but this serves me in some context. Like, how is this shaping me to be like a better person? Like, how is this going to influence my relationships in the future? Like, how can I just be a better person as a result? Or like, pain at the gym, same thing. Or, like, oh, I ate this food that I thought was really delicious, then made me feel terrible, and I like anxiety and I'm stressed out because of like, whatever. It's like, oh wait, it's probably because I ate this thing and that's not good for me. So now the feedback loop there is like, okay, this anxiety is serving me because it's telling me that I probably shouldn't eat that like thing, that In-N-Out burger or whatever,
Yeah. The popcorn shrimp, the 2 pounds of popcorn shrimp, dude.
It'll get you, man. Like the first pound you're chilling, but the minute they bring out that second bucket,
the second bucket,
you're like, oh man, it's all over. And then you don't stop.
The sauce is just too good to stop. And then you really feel that rumble in there. I mean, that's so. I love that. That's really. I've always had this thing where my grandparents, they tell me that my grandma loves astrology. I always get them two minutes. Astrology, right? Not astronomy. Astrology.
Yeah.
So she loves astrology, and she tells me I have a grand trine in my chart, which means that I'm very lucky. And I love telling that to myself, that I'm a fucking lucky person. I think that it served the kind of framework of kind of how it serves you is also super helpful to just kind of doing stuff, getting through a problem. Like, oh yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, that's. So what would you say? Again, to kind of bring it back to, well, to bring it to things that you're doing. One issue I have that, as an ideas person, I'm sure you also have, is like the follow through. So like, all right, I've got this cool idea, like, fuck yeah, like I want Jack Harlow to like listen to my podcast and fucking love it, and like he's going to, all right, now I have all these issues, now I got to make this actually like happen. How do you kind of work through, like, you're trying to do an insane event, literally the World Fair, like,
yeah,
how are you thinking about that each day? And do you pride yourself in terms of like, how do you keep moving forward and pushing toward that like ultimate culmination of having it happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think like on the day to day, it's like, I think maybe this story that I've told myself on this, like, this is like the life task, like that I am, set out upon, right? And so that story is like self-fulfilling. It's like, oh no, this is like the thing I have to do. And so like, there's no like opt out. There is no other options. Like, cool, regardless of what happens in the day to day, like I just have to keep pressing forward. So it's like, okay, well, how do we break this thing down into manageable chunks? What seems like the next best step? All right, let's go try it. But understanding that like that may not actually lead to the outcome, right? There's this framework that I had some friend of mine put together on, like, kind of inspired by like Joseph Conrad's like The Hero's Journey. It's like, how do you just live a heroic life? Like, how do you do something that's bigger than yourself? And how do you work on something that's like going to be hard? It's gonna take a long time, but again, will imbue your life with meaning and purpose. And like, I feel like for me, like that seems like the epitome of existence, is how do I like sacrifice my soul into something that's bigger than myself, like and then that kind of removes like the day to day, like, oh, like, why am I doing this? Like, oh no, this is just like the project that I've chosen to commit to. And I think like there's this like magic of committing to something. And like, in order to get anywhere with anything, like even like with the podcast, like, yeah, week over week, like, damn, this is like, okay, it's challenging. Okay, but guess I gotta, prep, I gotta do editing, I gotta upload, like listen to it, all this, like, you have to, but like, if you're like, hey, this is like working towards some grander goal, or this is like the sort of person I want to be, then you can kind of like remove a lot of the decision making, a lot of like the second guessing. So you're like, oh no, like this is just happening. It's not even a conversation with yourself anymore. Or it's just like, okay, this is the default. And then you just kind of keep going. But it's also understanding that like things take time. We're so conditioned to like get everything like ASAP. Amazon, deliver my shit tomorrow. Cool. Like, good things take time. And the only way you get there is like by investing. Like, I mean, the gym, any sport, improv, like all the stuff. It's like,
totally.
How do you get up there? How do you get a special? By like hundreds of 5-minute sets at comedy clubs where you bomb and you're just awful. You're like, oh, that was painful. But then like that serves you in the grander purpose of like constructing the special and getting where you want to go. So does that answer kind of what I think?
It definitely does. I mean, it's like the Atomic Habits. It's like
oh yeah,
your identity.
Yes.
And it's like your story. Yeah, man. I mean, like it absolutely does. I think, and the person that you're forming and like in becoming, and I mean, dude, it's inspiring. I love it. It fires me up every time looking at what you're doing, and just like what you're setting for yourself. It's the same. It's just like the aim higher type stuff. It's inspiring to see someone take a story that maybe we had very similar, like we were in the same fucking dorm in Cal Poly,
Yeah.
Doesn't get much more. It's like similar, like we could mistaken one another. We're both blonde white guys who have never seen the sun. And like, it really is day to day just about the story that you tell yourself, which is so fun to like see how that can transition just take what you're fucking doing in life. Fires me up, dude. Yeah. I know you got to go. If you're ever bumming around San Diego, dude, I have to take you boogie boarding.
Let's do it.
It'd be it's my little side project down here.
Your side project?
Oh yeah, dude, we're getting really good at boogie boarding. It's been Nicole. I tell Nicole how cool I look out there. She tells me I look fast. Not cool, but fast. Dude, it's hella fun though, dude. I would love to, if you're ever in town in San Diego and need some sun. I got the sunscreen. I got the boogie boards, dude. It'll be a good time.
We can riff for so much longer.
We'll have to go and try to get into it. We'll have to do some wedding crashers, or I don't know what other events they have down here, but
lots of weddings, lots of great, restaurants, lots of fun stuff.
That'd be great, dude.
Cool, right, Chris.
Dude.
This is the blast,
much
man.
love.
Yeah, much love to you.
I love talking to you, and good luck in New York.
Thanks,
and
buddy.
How long are you going to be out there?
For a while.
Who knows?
I think. Yeah, who knows? It's like this world's wild. It's like bouncing around. But
good stuff.
Yeah. Hell yeah, buddy.
All right, dude.
All right, I'll catch you in a bit.
Adios.
Okay,
Thanks, Cam.
Peace. Yeah, you bet.